You know, when I got sick 4 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer and autoimmune diseases. As time progressed, it got worse. I've had multiple heart attacks, multiple strokes, rib fractures, back fractures, burst fractures in my spine. Something that had crippled me to the point where it took 13 months to be able to walk again. I'm in palliative care through my network of health providers, which is difficult to get in. You have to get in by committee. They have to review your medical forms and see if you fit because there are a limited amount of slots. But even looking at mine, they said that hospice was on its way and death was around the corner. I am sick. I am horribly sick and in agony every day of my life. But even facing that, as somebody who grew up in a Lutheran household whose grandfather was a Lutheran minister, I still didn't turn to God. It wasn't something, even death didn't make me turn to God. I was apatheistic, somebody who was disinterested, who felt that it didn't apply to me, that whatever my fate was going to be, it was going to be. But Charlie Kirk's death has had more of an effect on me than I can reckon with. Not just me, but my wife. They talk about the concept of martyrdom, about the blood of martyrs and what that inspires in people. Charlie Kirk helped me find God. I want to be a man like him. I want to aspire to that. This man's death has impacted people in ways I don't think I can even truly put into words. This one action has planted seeds in so many people. It is a harvest that will be reaped, maybe not tomorrow, maybe in a generation, but it is most definitely coming. I don't expect going forward to stream very much. My health is not good. I really wouldn't have come back to talk about things if it hadn't been something that actually personally affected me, or that I found it be of actual significance. This is one of those things. I don't know how long you've watched me for, or what you've listened to that I've created. I've had different phases and different content throughout the years. All sorts of different subjects. But I would hope that in your observation of the things I've created and the things I've talked about, you would come to the conclusion that while not infallible, I'm very good at observing certain behavior patterns. And I am telling you, with the most certainty I have ever had in my life, that America's golden days are truly ahead of it. We've just got to get through a little bit more of the shit until we reach that. And when you get there, when you cross that finish line, when you're holding your children's hand as they look out upon the bounty that the United States of America can provide, remember to say thank you to Charlie Kirk, the American martyr. Beguile me. Charlie was a good Christian man and a patriot. They couldn't debate him, so they murdered him. It's so sad. We love Charlie. We love you, Jimbo. Yeah, it is strange to me the effect this has had on me personally and my wife. She is equally as fucked up as I am. We've been talking about going to church a lot. We don't know where to. I wanted to do Catholicism, but she wants to do maybe something that's evangelical or Lutheran. So we're just planning to try out different ones every Sunday. until we find one that fits us, I guess. I don't know. Um, Again, I'm not a well-versed or super religious man, so don't expect me to talk about this in great depth. It feels, I don't know, like a personal thing, and it feels that it would be somewhat perverse of me uh, to start talking about it too much until I have a handle on it personally, you know? I think, I'd almost compare it back to, if you remember John Tron when he debated was it destiny, and he was putting out all this stuff. And if you look back on that, a lot of stuff that John Tron said was right on the money. He was very accurate. But he felt like he was very new to right wing positions. And so he had something that I like to call like red pill Tourette's, right, in a political sense. He just couldn't help himself. He started throwing out all sorts of shit. And even though a lot of it was very correct, he sounded insane. And so, he was overwhelmed by his enthusiasm for something new. And it kind of took a hold a little bit too much of him. You get what I'm saying? And I don't want to do that with religion. So I don't mind talking about it and the effect this has had on me and the effect this has had on my wife. But I don't want to, red pill Tourette's myself in religion and start running around like a crusader screaming Dake's fault, talking about children crusades to take out the Muslims. You got me? So it's going to take a little while. Do you think this is hitting you harder because you feel you're not long for this world? Currently searching for God, Jesus, myself. Well, like I said, it's not, I was, when you're facing death and you're sick and, not to be morbid, but like here's I did this stream talking about this is my last stream. I'm fucked, right? And I didn't expect to stream again after that, and I was able to. And I can't explain to you why I've been able to or why this has been prolonged to the amount it has, but it has not been pleasant. I took care of my mother when she was dying for about a year. She had an aortic dissection, which is a tear in your aorta. And they did surgery on her, and afterwards, she was completely crippled. Now, her insurance was okay, but not great, so you couldn't get a live-in caretaker for 24 hours a day. So while I was finishing up college degrees and working, I took care of her all the time. And, over that course of a year up until her death, you start to pick up on like a transitional thing, right? Of what somebody's like as they approach death. It's very strange, but there are stages to it. And it's not crazy and pronounced, right? They're not going to turn pale and scream and then keel over. It's hard to explain unless you've been through it. But watching that, as a person who was in a caretaker position, and now as somebody who's in a position where I got fucked, I recognize in myself those steps. And so you confront your mortality and your death pretty quickly when you know what's coming and you can see that step-by-step progression taking place and where I am now, and I can see that where my mother had been. So I know what it portends. I don't just need doctors to tell me that, which they openly do now. I've got a good vibe for it myself. So you ask me like, oh, do you need to be end of life to approach faith? That wasn't what pushed me into faith, or attempting to approach it, I should say. I can't explain it to you. I just can't. I think there are just certain things that will happen in your life, whether they are personal or somewhere off in the environment and the minutia of society, that will just hit you. You will be thunderstruck by it. And it will be transformative, and you can't really explain it. So as far as your idea of a search or what kind of checkpoints, or bullets on a list that you might need to pass, I couldn't tell you. I'm just not informed enough to. I can just tell you that's how it hit me. And I can't explain it better than that.